Hey, what's up guys, you got Gypsy and we are back here today with ITL week 6, and this week we're going to be facing off against Nova. He was a guy we played a few times last season. He was in our division and we beat him in the regular season twice, and then we ended up taking him on the semis and we ended up getting beaten by McGinn in the semi-finals. I think he crit my scissor or something like that, unfortunately, but he then went on to actually win the whole thing. So he beat Matty in finals, so he's definitely a really solid player. And yeah, we're facing up against Nova here, so obviously, you know, we're out to continue the streak. I think we're currently 5-0 in the ITL, I believe. So obviously we want to take down Nova, and he's got a pretty interesting team. He's got Mega Diance as well as Ash Gren Ninja, which is kind of crazy. We allowed that thing this season, and although it hasn't been like a crazy powerhouse in the league so far, it's yeah, it's certainly a threat if it gets out of hand, and if it gets Ash form, well, it just becomes a lot harder to check. So if possible, I'm not going to let that thing become Ash. And then he's got Pex, Heatran, which is a really solid defensive core. You know, fairy killers, and he's got the Katana, which is Z viable as well. So yeah, pretty powerful team. But yeah, we're rocking with and he's obviously got the Licky Tongue there, which is an interesting bring. When I kind of faced up a matchup, I was like, man, why has this guy brought Licky Tongue? But it actually put in the work during the game, so I'm going to get into that when we start the match. But quick run over of the team we have. We do have a Rock Polish Tyranitar. Really nice, can actually win if positioned correctly. I've got EQ, Fire Punch, and Stone Edge, so if I can chip down the Pex and the Gran and determine what kind of set his Lickitung is, this Mon can potentially win in the late game. Then I have a Calm Mind Reuni, and yeah, this Mon is a really nice check to stuff like his Toxapex, his Heatran, even stuff like Lickitung, like really passive shit he won't be able to take down Reuniclus with, and Reuni can just set up on them. I'm like Calm Mind, Signal Beam, Psychic, Recover. I also take any 2 hits from his Mega Diance, regardless of his spread, so that's really nice. Then I get a Scarf Rotom, Mo, first kind of match, bringing Rotom and Persian. These are 2 of the transactions that I made before this week, so hopefully these guys put in the work. He doesn't actually have a ground type on his team, which is kind of wild, so Volt Switch is going to be free in that sense. And then I have a Duckinium Z Persian with the Z Parting Shot to kind of revive any one of like Titar, Reuni, or Magina if I need it in the late game. But yeah, Knock, Foul Play, Parting Shot, really just solid versus his team. And then I have a pretty interesting Magina. I am Calm Mind. I'm like really bulky in this set, and I'm Calm Mind Volt Switch with Dual Stab. So in the early game, if I can lure in Heatran with the Volt Switch, because that's either Heatran or Pex are going to be his, obviously his Magina switch-ins, his kind of responses to it. I can Volt out on those and bring in Titar to click EQ, or bring in Reuni on the Pex if that's how he wants to approach Magina. And then in the late game, I can always Calm Mind up once his Heatran's out of the way, and win with like Dual Stab and Calm Mind. So the last one we have is an Assault Vest Torn, which is kind of mandatory versus like an Ash Gren team. It just really helps pivot into like Dark Pulses and stuff, or if he wants to go for Hydro, then I've always got Rotom in the back, and Torn takes Hydros pretty well from regular non-Ash Greninja, even if he is Specs. So that's going to be the team. We're going to jump into the match. I expect him to lead Tran. It leads amazingly versus like 4 out of 6 mons on the team, and so I'm going to lead Tar to check that lead, as he does end up leading Heatran. So like a good lead on Nova's part, but we caught him there with the Titar lead. As I'm just going to fire off an EQ. He has no ground immunity, so EQ is free, and it will allow me to scout damage off in this Lickitung and kind of determine what his defensive response is to my Tar. So he's going to go into Lickitung, and he takes 21 from EQ, and I'm almost max attack, so that's a pretty nice chunk that Lickitung only took from that. It added up pretty well, so I'm definitely going to have to knock this thing off, or at least chip it down before Titar can win. So I'm going to have to go into my Persian here. I didn't want my Reuni to get knocked, because it is important for checking his Diance, as he's just going to throw up a Wish. And I think this turn I believe I knock this turn. Yeah, I knock this turn as he protects, so he's going to get it back up to a nice amount. And I think I'm going to knock again this turn as he goes down to the Diance. And this is all good. I'm just going to parting shot the following turn. And kind of interesting mechanic, the way parting shot works with Magic Guard is that I actually get the stat drop, but he has to switch out, so he can he's like infinitely, like if I had hazards up and he kept on going to Diance, he'd infinitely be forced out into something else until Diance was the only one remaining. So he's going to go into his Heat round here, as I'm going to parting shot out into my Taunt. As I think this turn he just goes to the Plume. He's going to crit and burn me, which is kind of unfortunate because I am a physically based Taunt. I think I've got Hidden Power Ice in this set, is like because he did have Immense on his team. So, but apart from that, the rest of my coverage is physical. So the burn, crit didn't really matter because I got regen, but the burn was a little unfortunate there. But I'm going to knock him here, and we knock his lefties, which is huge because this means now that every time Magina clicks Volt Switch, that damage is going to be there to stay. Every time Rini clicks Psychic, that damage is going to be there to stay. Granted, he's got Wish support in the back with Lickitung, but if I can pressure that thing, it shouldn't be able to pass into Heatran too easily. So I'm gonna, I think, a U-turn here as he actually reveals Protect. So he's Lava Plume, Protect, and Rocks. So he's either gonna have like Toxic or Earth Power or Taunt on this set. So that's good to know. As I am gonna U-turn out on his Pex, as I can just bring in Reunion now. So this turn I'm gonna Calm Mind up, as he does go for the T-Spike, and I planned on defogging later anyway with my Rotom, so this isn't too big a deal for me, but it kind of does like rush how fast I need to click defog now, because I don't want Persian or T-Tar getting poisoned. So he's going to set another T-Spike up as I go for the Psychic here and do a huge amount. And this turn I think I'm going to Calm Mind up once again on the off chance that he went into Taunt Heatran or his potential Specs Gren, because at +2 Signal Beam kills Gren, and at +2 Spadef he's really going to struggle to chip me down with Lava Plume if he's like Taunt plus Lava Plume, and my Psychics will be doing a decent chunk to his Heatran. So that is my play, as he does reveal the Haze, and he's actually going to Suicide his Pex off in an attempt to keep Reuni at neutral. So I guess that's how we wanted to play around it, because this means he can bring in Gren and scam me out with Dark Pulse. So Toxapex is down. That's one of the roadblocks to my Rock Polish Shinonatar sweeping. So I'm going to go out into my Rotom here as he fires off the Dark Pulse, and that only does 36. I'm like a really bulky Scarf Rotom, so we chew that up pretty nicely, as I will be able to remove the T-Spikes, and now he's going to bring back in his Heatran as I go into my Taunt, and we take that Lava Plume pretty well. And this time I'm going to get Superpower damage off. I want to chip this thing down, because actually now this Heatran is the only thing standing in the way of my bulky Calm Mind Magina just actually cleaning at this point. So I'm going to get damage off with that Superpower, as he's going to get his Rocks up here. And I think this turn I just double onto my Unicorn on the off chance that he protected, which he does, just to get more burn damage. And now I'm going to set up a Calm Mind as he brings in his Lickitung. He may have phasing here, so I'm just going to click Psychic to get the damage, and he does Dragon Tail me out. So his Wish Protect, Dragon Tail, and this kind of makes me think, well, like, Gear probably sets up on this thing and there's nothing you can do about it. So if I now weaken Heatran, like, Gear's just going to win. So I'm going to go into Taunt, as I get dragged down to Taunt, as I can knock off his... He lets me knock off his Eviolite here, which is kind of bad for him, but he didn't really have another play, like, unless he went hard Diancie on that turn, on the knock. But, you know, I could have been carrying, like, Steel coverage as well, like Hidden Power Steel, something on Taunt, so I guess it was kind of a tough turn for him, but probably keeping his Eviolite was his better play, in my opinion. Because now T-Tar's really looking like a threat, but he doesn't know that I'm Rock Polish, to be fair, so I'm going to go into my Gear on his Diancie, and I don't expect him to stay in here. He's just wished this thing up. I think he values it, so I'm going to Volt Switch here as he goes out into his Tran. Fair play, as this does let me bring in my T-Tar. And I'm going to Rock Polish up now, because his play should be to preserve Heatran, like in my opinion anyway. Like, he should preserve Heatran. It's the only thing that stops him losing to Magina. I've showed that I'm lefty, so I'm not AV as well, so that's something to keep in mind. I could be like Shift Gear Calm Mind, which actually just wins at this point if I am, and if he sacks Heatran, Shift Gear, like, Magina just solos him, so he's got to be careful about that, or at least that's how I perceived it. But he's actually going to stay in here and fish for the Lava Plume, which is, yeah, really kind of risky on his part, because I outsped anyway, and I could have just killed his only Gear response, and he would have just lost on the spot to it. But he doesn't get the burn, which is nice, and I am going to take him out here with the Earthquake. So now Magina looking like a real threat. He's going to go into his Licky here, and I think he doubles into Cart. Not sure what that was. I think maybe he expected me to switch out thinking I couldn't kill his Lickitung, but there's really not much his Lickitung can do to tar, and at least I get damage off versus that thing. Stone Edge was a roll to kill, depending on his spread as well, so he goes into his Kartana here, and I am just going to outspeed him the following turn and click Fire Punch. He could have maybe been like a, I don't know, like a Scarf set, but I actually crept Jelly Cart. Jelly +1 cart with Tyranitar. So he is going to go for the Dragon Tail here and phase me out into Riini. But because I kind of expect him to Wish Up here, I'm going to go into my Magearna because I know that this thing beats Licky 1v1, and if I get a Calm Mind up, not even like modest crit Earth Power from, I don't know, from his Diance can even take out my gear. I don't think it even could at neutral because I'm really spit up on this set, so I'm going to set up a couple of Calm Minds as he's going to Calm Mind up himself. I'm going to take him out here with a Flash Cannon, and he's going to go, I think, Hard Gren, and just click Hydro, and we take that pretty nice, 15% from that, and Gren's going to drop. And yeah, Gear's going to wrap this game up, so definitely a fun one. Probably not that fun for Nova, but I think he played it well. I think he didn't really manage his Heatran as best as he could. That was really the one thing standing in the way of my Magearna winning this game once he let his Pex go down, so I think, yeah, he could have probably played his Heatran a bit more conservatively and preserved it for this Gear, but ultimately, like, Volt Switch pressure on Gear into Tar, like, really forced him into a spot where, like, either he went Licky and took an EQ and then died to Stone Edge the following turn, or he stayed in with Heatran and fished for a burn. So yeah, I guess, obviously nice game for us, we win 6-0, and yeah, and next week we face off against Aki, which should be a fun one. So, good game to Nova. He's having a good season too. I'm pretty sure he's like midway in the standings or something like that. So I'm sure he'll make playoffs. But yeah, that's going to be it for me. If you guys enjoyed, drop a like and let me know what you guys thought of the match in the comments. And I'll catch you guys next time.